This is Deishne Johnson. If you haven't seen my documentary on the murder of 5-year-old Janiyah Russell, you'll want to go to the Law and Crime Network YouTube channel and watch Whispers in the Water first. I've linked it down below in the description and a pinned comment for your convenience. It's crucial that you've watched that in full before proceeding with this video. I'm not going to answer questions in the comments below if it seems like your question is rooted in the fact that you didn't watch both of these videos. I spent 3 years making that documentary. It's got a lot of information and you'll need it all for context. Deishne Johnson, which is her real name, not Deishne Williams like I previously thought. Apologies. There are actually 3 women named Deishne close to this case in some way, and 2 of them have the last name of Williams. But all you need to know is this one. Deishne Johnson. If you'll remember, in Whispers in the Water, there was a friend of now convicted murderer, Shevhaun Miller, that lived at the Suites apartment with Richard, Shevhaun, and Janiyah for months before moving out following a disagreement. Deishne also had her kids staying in the same apartment at the same time. These are the kids that Richard claimed Janiyah was sexually inappropriate with. This is how Richard attempted to explain the recent discipline of Janiyah, which involved him hitting her with a belt 20 times and leaving deep bruises on her buttocks. Shevhaun referred to those kids as her nieces while calling Deishne her sister. Deishne Johnson also babysat Janiyah the Saturday before her murder. Deishne also claimed that Shevhaun told her she wanted to kill Janiyah, and if you'll remember, in the documentary, there was a Crime Stoppers tip from an anonymous caller that claimed Janiyah was in danger and someone wanted to kill her. Up until now, no one has ever known the identity of the caller. During Shevhaun's trial, the prosecution alleged that certain people that might have information regarding the case either refused to speak to them or couldn't be reached for questioning. Those individuals include Janiyah's birth mother, Janiyah Russell. I previously didn't mention her name, but I believe it's time to do so in the interest of seeking justice for Janiyah, especially with some of the claims made in this video, coupled with the fact that Tamar showed up for neither her daughter's funeral nor Shevhaun's trial. This can no longer be ignored. The second person was Richard's uncle, Kenny Warren. He never gave a statement to police, but he did testify in court 3 years later. He was supposed to pick up Richard and Shevhaun the day of the murder at around 8 a.m. to help them move, which might seem odd considering Richard would have still been at the Telcris Center at the time donating plasma. Now, it's possible that Uncle Kenny was going to pick up Shevhaun and Janiyah first and then go collect Richard. But what I want you to remember throughout this video is this next part. Kenny Warren testified that on the day of Janiyah's murder, after Richard and Shevhaun returned home from the hospital, he claims that while he did meet them at the apartment, he did not enter the apartment that day. In my opinion, this is crucial information to remember. It's also worth noting that in court, forensics seemed to indicate that Uncle Kenny's contact information had recently been deleted from the phone shared by Richard and Shevhaun. This certainly raises questions, and I think after this video you'll have a few more. And the third, the prosecution alleged they tried desperately to reach Deishne Johnson via various subpoenas, but were unable to get a hold of her until the last day of the trial, in which the DA tried to bring her in as a witness, but the defense protested and the judge denied Deishne's testimony. Today, Deishne has come forward to tell all she knows in hopes that it will lead to Janiyah Russell getting the justice she deserves. I'm sure she'll be met with criticism and scrutiny, but she has assured me she doesn't care. It's time to do whatever it takes to get closer to the truth. Before Whispers in the Water came out a week ago, very few had ever heard of Janiyah Russell. Thanks to you, people who really care, over 700,000 viewers have seen her smile. Even though many of us share different opinions about this horrible case, I'd like to think we all stand united in seeking justice for Janiyah, and we are not going away. The fight now continues with Deishne Johnson's side of the story.
So I had another friend named Chanel. I had another friend named Chanel. So we shared a mutual friend. And me and Chanel, we always was like on and off. It was like I was cool with her sometimes, but Chevy, that was like my baby. Like she would come around, she's older than me. I love her. Like how we connected, because she used to help me out in school. Like because Chanel was the tutor. So she was tutoring her and Chevy was helping me with certain stuff. And then I brought her over to my house because I was always one of those friends that was like, hey, come over, And she came, and then ever since then I fell in love, like as far as like a friendship, like, oh my God, like I love your personality. I got a friend with a big butt because I kind of got a big butt myself. So she was always down, and Chevy with the Chevy. So we would call her that. And we would always hang out. She met my mother. And I realized her situation, her foster care mom, she was taking her money. And she was like, she was kind of living like a Cinderella story. It was like her she got along with one of her foster sisters, but the rest of them, they was always mean to her, and they didn't buy my friend anything. They didn't really do anything for her. So I don't know, I don't want her to get mad at me, but I want to be honest about everything out in the open, because if nobody else can tell her story for her, I will be able to tell. And she would go, they would go boost. We call it boosting. She would go get clothes to look nice, and do her hair. Like I said, and she always said that she was gonna be a hairstylist. So from there, we hit it off. Like that's been my girl. She even protected me a couple of times so I was getting bullied in high school, and she protected me. Like, the girls was actually like, she ain't the one to mess with, because I'm non-confrontational. So I don't like being in stuff. But she was just so kind-hearted. And every time I took her to, um, like, out of all my friends that I've ever had, like, I got into 2 arguments with her. Only one uh last argument that we got into was, when I told you we was in the apartment. But the first time we got into it, we was arguing about a TV show. And that was the only time that we actually got into an argument. So from there, we always went to family gatherings. And then she got moved too. I think she ended up getting moved because we tried to get her, because my mom's a foster mom. So she fostered before. So we were thinking about options to take her in, well, my mom was, because she was older apparently. So uh and my mom was gonna take her in. And she said, well, if you don't like where you're at, you could, move in with us for a little while until we figure out your situation. Because we knew that they were taking from her. Like, it was just sad. Like, I even kind of got jealous of her, because my mom was like showing her a lot of affection. And my mom had to let me know, like, she don't have nobody. She don't have nobody on her side. And I was like, okay, girl, like, you try to take my mom. Like, it was like that. And eventually she moved to another group home, and I didn't hear from her for like probably like, I want to say, like, a year or so. I didn't hear from her because of where she moved to. And then there was a party, because my mom always moved a lot. So we moved, I got reconnected with her. And from there, she had a friend named Kasia. And she was telling me about her new dude that she just got, which was Richard. And this was like, okay, so if she graduated in 2015 or 26, because she's older than me. So I was 19 when we started being friends, but she graduated before I graduated. And by the way, I didn't graduate, I dropped out. But if I would have graduated, I would have graduated in 2015. But she had already graduated. So she was telling me about how she was going to go to school for cosmetology. She was going to do nails and hair. And we would always, me and her personally, would watch my little cousin Avion. And we always watched Avion. Like, my mom would be at work, or she would go out of town and whatever. And we just kept him all the time. Like, he was a baby at the time. Like, he was a fresh baby. And we always had him. Like, I got pictures of that too as well that I can send to you. Um, if I could find the actual pictures, because I know that I should have them somewhere in my storage. But yeah, so ever since then we've been friends. But when she met Kasia, that's when she met Richard. And from there, it was a blank for a minute. Like, I didn't see Chevy for a little, like, and then she wrote me a letter, telling me that she was actually, like, she developed kind of feelings for me, and from there, like I said, we haven't talked to each other in a very long time. And at the time, I was gay too. Like, I had my boyfriends, but I had my girlfriends too. And I didn't know she felt that way about me. And I didn't know how to think. And she was letting me know that she was about to move out of town. And she was like, before I leave. And I read the letter and I'm like, what the? Like, it was shocking because I didn't expect for that. But at the time we were so young, maybe she felt like she just loved me so much because I showed her love. My family showed her so much love. So we weren't sure, at a young age, sometimes we lustful, sometimes we mistake love and lust together. So, like I said, we ended up becoming very like we always just been locked in. Let's just say that's what we call it out here, locked in. So that's always been my girl, you know. And when she like disappeared after she got with this new guy, and she told me about it. She was like, someday we'll link up again. And they shared a Facebook. So she didn't have her own social media for a minute. She ended up sharing a Facebook with Richard. And I don't know how, but we got back connected again. And that's when I talked to her over the phone and she was pregnant and her stomach was big. And I was like, oh my God, like my friend is having a baby. And like I said, she was 8 months at that time. So I'm like, oh my God, when you having a baby, like I was just so amped up because like, I didn't expect for that to come out that my friend was having a baby. So it was just shocking because I know how much she loved children. So I'm like, oh my God, like, wow, that's beautiful. I'm a firm believer of Black love. I just thought that he was a good guy in the beginning and they always start off good. And then um fast forward, I didn't see her for a very long time. I didn't even see any pictures. There was no updated pictures. All their pictures that they had on social media was all old, from when they first got together. So I really didn't get an update about the situation. So I'm not sure the timeline, like, but I know that it was a couple of years. And I reconnected with her, and her and Richard would always ride a moped. So I did end up reconnecting with her again. And that's when they were staying with the grandmother. So the grandmother was living in Summerlin in Las Vegas or somewhere in around Summer, but I in Summerlin. But the house was so big that this is like the rich people neighborhood. So I remember she invited me over for some drinks and stuff because we needed some catching up to do. Like we had some catching up to do. And I went down and we hung out a couple of times. We hung out a couple of times. She ended up telling me like, "Hey, me and Richard's gonna get our own place, yada yada yada." But at the time, she's a Cancer. Cancers don't tell their business. Like they're not one of them type of people. Like even if it was trouble in paradise, they wouldn't like outwardly like, "Hey, girl, I'm in a fucked up situation," or "I'm with somebody and he's like, we're having relationship problems," or whatever. She wouldn't tell me, but I never questioned it about the baby. I never questioned it because I figured like if she doesn't have the baby, I put two and two together. Like either she lost her baby or she don't have like she lost the baby to the system physically. So I'm like, it was kind of odd to me. but I never like really questioned, you know. Recently, at the into like 2019 when I was staying there, she told me that she don't want to talk about it. So every time I would ask her about it, she would say, "Hey, I don't want to talk about it." Like, like you could tell she kind of got emotion. So so they ended up getting a apartment. So they was telling me like, "Hey, we getting our own spot. Anytime that you and the girls want to come over, you guys can come over." Yada yada yada. So that's when I met Janiyah. I did meet her. I did meet her there. I did because she was little. Like she was tiny, and she was saying that she was down here for like, I don't know, like the winter like the spring break or whatever. So she was there, and I remember this pretty little chocolate baby. And I was like, who baby is that? And I was thinking like maybe that's the baby, But no, that was another girl's so she kind of like breezed me through it of the mom situation, and she was telling me like the mom wasn't shit, and he's fighting for custody of her. So that's what came to me about that situation. After that, I didn't see her for like a little minute again.
Well, tell me this:
She's
when
Yeah.
you say Janiyah was little, um, do you think Janiyah would have been 2?
Yeah, like she was like at least two or three. But she was there temporarily. So she was there just for a couple of days. Like, you know how people just fly the kid out, and or I don't know how she got down here, but she ended up in Richard's care.
So it's safe to say that when Janiyah officially moved to Las Vegas just before she was murdered, it's safe to say that she had been there prior to that, like
Yes.
much earlier
Yes.
than that.
Yes, because I remember her telling me the whole story about Janiyah. So she was just telling me how, the mom and stuff, like how the mom just she was an unfit mother. That's all. I mean, I can't really tell you too much about the mom because I really didn't know anything about her. Like, because the mom, as far as I know, that she's a prostitute, and it was a whole rabbit hole with her. And I'm gonna get into that detail when we get to that time. I'm just giving you a timeline of when I first met Janiyah. So she was younger at the time. Like I said, then fast forward, this was like a couple months go by, right? I want to say in the same year. In the same year, they ended up moving with grandma, which is Richard's mom. The other grandma, like okay, so he was with his actual like the older grandma, the great grandma, and then uh no Janiyah, and then they moved into their own apartment, Janiyah, and then I didn't see them for a little minute, and she let me know like, hey, oh, you know what? They moved out of state. This is when they moved out of state again. They left. And I wasn't sure where they went. Like I said, she didn't have a phone. So when she did have a phone, her and Richard always shared phones. And I used to be like, why you don't get your own phone so that way we can get in contact with each other? And she was like, well, he don't allow me to he don't like when I be on social media and stuff. And I thought that was weird because I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why don't he want you to have like I thought that was a red flag for me that he wanted her to himself. That's what I felt like. Um, so then when they did end up coming back, they ended up moving with his mother, Richard's mom. But Richard's mom was weird. Like she's creepy looking. Like I don't know, just something about them just didn't sit right. She let me know that her and the mom got into a physical fight, and she was saying that she was coddling her son, and she was like basically agging her. Like she kept she kept picking with Shev. She kept picking with Shev. And that's the same thing like anybody else. That doesn't mean that she's a violent person. But hey, if you gotta defend yourself, dude, what the hell are you gonna do in that situation? You're gonna defend yourself, right? So then around that time, I asked her about the baby. And I'm like, well, are you guys planning on having more kids? Like, is Janiyah, they were saying that they wanted to get their own place. And that even Richard was saying that his mom was acting weird. Like she was kind of jealous of their relationship. Like, and at the time, like I said, I thought that Richard was a sweet dude in the beginning. Like, that's what I really felt about him. Like, I thought he was a cool dude. And I was so happy that my friend found somebody that loved her through everything that she'd been through, at a young age, because Shevhaun got molested as a child and her family gave up on her. Her family gave up on her when she was younger. So she never really had real love. You know what I mean? She never really had people around to love her. And then when she met us and then she met Richard, she thought she had found the perfect thing. But that's where the dark turn comes in at. Because I didn't even know that she was going through anything. Like she worked so good where I couldn't even tell that my friend was in distress. Like dealing with his family. They put her through a lot of stuff. So she was kind of telling me how she got into how they jumped her. They jumped her in Louisiana because that, like I said, when she left the first time and then she left a second time. And this time wasn't a good time for her to go out there with them. Because whatever they did down there, whatever they did to my friend, like you could tell like she detached herself from them. Like I'm not messing with the mama. I'm not messing with none of them. And I'm like, damn, what happened? I thought y'all was cool. And she just gave me the tea on it, like saying how they were very violent with her out there. And they knew that she didn't have support. And that's what I thought about myself. Like, yeah, knowing that you don't have nobody, you would think that people would treat you right. You know what I mean? But this world that we live in is so evil that you don't know what people is capable for to do anyway. So and then from there, I didn't kind of talk to her for a little minute. I don't even know how we got back reacquainted again, but I was happy that we did because that's my true friend. And what we did this time, they lived in Boulder Highway, the suite. So I came over to come visit, and then I love my friend so much to where I was somewhere else staying somewhere else, but I left that person's house to come stay with her. And I was like, friend, can I just come here? Like, can I just come here? Like, she told me that she needed somebody to be around because she haven't really been having no friends to come over and come visit and stuff like that. Cause she had made her own friends out here. So I wasn't her only friend in Las Vegas, but I was her like the closest thing as a family member to her. But and then that's when they moved to Boulder Island. So that's the story on how we met and how we ended up being so close. When I started staying there, it was cool. We was vibing. We used to smoke weed, like we used to chill. And but I realized something that Janiyah was eating salads. Now me personally, she like, oh well, because Richard was working at Walmart at the time. So I guess he worked in the deli area, I want to say, or he was stocking or something. But he would always come home with Walmart food and stuff like that. So I'm assuming that if they didn't have any paperwork on her, they wasn't receiving any benefits for Janiyah. So they barely had food. And I'm like, girl, I get food stamps, like we gotta put food in here. And she was like, well, we don't really go grocery shopping like that because, like food is expensive. Even then, it was expensive. But they would get like little knickknacks here and there, and he would bring stuff home for them to eat. Or they would go to Burger King and go get and I saw Janiyah one time. I had bought some food, and Janiyah, like, the way she ate that burger, like she never ate before. And I'm like, oh hell no, we gotta buy some food around here. A lot of people don't like to ask for help and stuff like that. But I'm like, no, fuck that. I'm here. Excuse my language. But I'm like, I'm here. Friend, we gotta go grocery shop. You know what I mean? And so, but the way it, like, everything was like in the apartment, it was like trash in the trash built up on the side, and then it was closed, and then whatever else, the dishes was full. So I would come in and help, because I'm like, if I'm staying here, why not help clean up? you know so I would clean up, grocery shopping, make sure we got food in there. And we would just always have conversations. Like, they would go sit in the bed, and I would sit in the bed like by them, and at the edge of the bed, and we would just sit there and talk about life, and good, like, we would have some good stuff to talk about. But something that struck me very weird was every time that he got off of work, she would unlock the door for him, because he claimed that but she told me this, okay? So I never heard Richard say this out of his own mouth, but quote unquote, don't leave the door locked when he's coming in. And, like, basically the neighborhood that they were in is a really bad neighborhood. People walk in people doors all the time, and do numerous of things to people. So I was like weirded out about that, because there's girls in the house. So now we have in total of eight. I mean, we have in total of five girls that's in the house. So why wouldn't we want to lock the door until he get here? Like, what's the difference from him knocking at the door and putting his key? Like, what was the difference about that? So then a little time go by. So now I'm here for like a month or so, 2 months. Now me and Chevy, we looking for jobs and stuff. She was trying to put me on a job. She did my hair for my birthday. Oh, shout out to her, because she really did a really good hairstyle on me. But at the time, um, then she broke out and told me that Richard didn't feel comfortable with me and her in the same house together with the door locked. And then I was like, well, why would he feel like that? And she was like, well, I did slip up and tell him about me and you know, having, our little relations when we were younger. I'm like, Chevy, why would you tell him that? But from there, that's when his attitude towards me was weird. And then he asked me one day, can he discipline my children? And I'm like, absolutely not. Like, I used to let them watch them all the time. And my kids was like probably like three and two, like one and three. Like, and I'm like, that's weird to me. Like, why is he asking, can he discipline my children? And he was like, well, I'm not gonna, like, he was like, I'm not gonna, like, hurt him or nothing. But I'm like, that's weird for another parent to ask another parent, like, hey, can I discipline your child? Like, and he was talking about whoopings, like giving them spankings. And then I realized the way he disciplined Janiyah was pretty strange to me too. But I figured this is the way that they've been disciplining her for years, like since she been in their care. And she would do like push-ups, sit-ups, like Chevy was saying. She would do like like wall sits, and he would teach her to box with the boxing gloves. And then also they would make her count her numbers from front to back. So she would count all the way to 100, all the way back. And then I saw this manual. I mean, I saw like this book that Chevy made for her. And the book was like a lot of stuff, like educational purposes, like to teach her basic stuff that you need to know in school. So I thought that was a good thing. I thought that was beautiful, but anytime that Janiyah would get in trouble, she would always call Richard and be like, well, you need to hurry up and get here because Janiyah is doing X, Y, and Z. Or Janiyah is doing too much. I already talked to her. And sometimes Janiyah will act like she don't know certain stuff, like, okay, but what's 5 times 5 or something like that. And she would struggle with that. She's like, Janiyah, don't make me, don't make me like make you do squats, or don't make me have to do make you do push-ups and stuff like that, or whatever. And sometimes Janiyah will play like she don't know, but we all know she knows, because she was very smart. So, but I understood that part. But um, I thought it was a little strange, like militant, because his family was very militant. So I figured they got that from them, like to discipline her in that manner. Um, so I really didn't see them like whoop. I've never seen Richard whoop her physically. From there, one day, because we would lay a pallet for the kids on the floor. So we laid them down, and then I walked in, um, because we was having like a smoke session. We would close the door. And I walked in, and she was like trying to go down on my youngest baby or my oldest baby. It was one of the two, but she was going down on one of them. And I was like, oh hell no. I knocked at like, hey, come get her. Once I explained to them what was happening, what happened, um, they that's when Richard, like they both had talked to her and like told her like, hey, that you don't need to be doing shit like that, da 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 da, going off on her. And then Richard had took her in the room and closed the door. He turned the TV up, and then that's when I started hearing the screams. And I could hear her being struck by the belt. But I thought that was weird. Like, why do you gotta go in the room and close the door, and you can't barely see? Because I wasn't trying to look in on him whooping her. Like, I don't never want to, like, even when I was younger, I didn't like seeing children get whooped, and I didn't like being a child that got whooped because I came from a line of belts. That's what I know. But I don't like that. Like, I don't even whoop my kids. That's why he was asking me, can he discipline our kids, because I don't whoop them. So,
And tell me this: do you recall how long Janiyah was in there being disciplined?
I know it was like probably like 1 minute. It was just like pow, 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 pow. Not 1 minute, but like probably like 60 seconds or something. But I thought that was just weird to me that he had to turn up the TV to whoop her. But then I thought about it, like maybe he just want to drown out the sound. So the neighbors, because the walls were so thin, you could hear everything that's happening next door. So I just thought like that, like maybe he just wanted to drown out the sound. But I was like, okay, well, we got that handled. I'll be right back. I gotta go take care of some business, yada yada yada. Can you guys watch the kids? They was like, yeah, sure.
What was Janiyah's demeanor like after the discipline?
Just regular. She was saying that her heart felt funny a lot of
Mm.
times. But I told her, like, maybe you guys need to take her to the hospital. I mean, the doctors, because she always saying that her heart feel funny, but not after the whooping. She been saying that. Like, that wasn't nothing new. Like, she been saying that. But it's not dawning on me that they don't have paperwork on her to take her anywhere. So I'm like, she was like, she just being dramatic. Like, if you're running around a lot, your heart's racing, your heart's gonna feel funny, because she used to do bad stuff though. Like, don't get me wrong, every kid got they perks. And she used to do stuff that, like, she'll cut up a dog hair and then blame it on my kids and then say, well, they did it. Or she would throw something somewhere and then be like, well, they did it. Like she did do little conniving stuff like that. Like as a little kid, kids do stuff like towards each other to get each other in trouble. So Janiyah would do things like that and then blame my children. And sometimes they did do it, and sometimes they really didn't do it. So she would get in trouble for that, like blaming people. And they held her accountable for the stuff. That's one thing I liked about how they disciplined her, because they didn't just be like, oh, well, my child's not doing anything and coddling her. They looked at it like, well, you need, like, you're in trouble. Like, you can't do anything. You can't play with no toys. You need to say your numbers and stuff like that. Like, it would be on that matter. But I'm always outside. So I would leave, come back, leave, come back. I had a little friend over there, like a little booth thing, which we would call that a little lover in the area, right? And so I would always step out and go where I'm going. And then I'll be like, hey, well, can you guys watch the kids? Yada yada yada. And they will watch the kids a lot. So fast forward, this was like a week prior to my birthday. No, actually, this was like 2 days after my birthday. My birthday was August 19th, 2019 at the time. Um, like 2 days after that, that's when me and Chevy had gotten to our argument. But remind you, I didn't know that. I felt weird though after a while about Richard, because once you start telling me that he was having conversations with the baby mama and they was talking about getting back together again and her coming back out here, like from there I started being like, yeah, he's weird, friend. Like, you don't need to be with nobody like that.
At what point do you think, do you think it would have been August of 2019 that there was talk of Janiyah's mother and Richard getting back together?
Yes. So basically, remember I told you that whenever she had trouble in paradise with her guy, she really not expressive about it. It was like he was recording her or something. Like he had like a recording device. She really didn't want to like say what it was that was going on. But I had my baby's birthday there. We had a pool party on the 14th, and then mine was on the 19th. And then I was supposed to help them with Janiyah's birthday because her birthday was coming up that same following month, because I know that it was August something. Like her birthday was around our birthday. 2 days after my birthday, I went out to go see my friend, came back. The next day, Richard tried to I think Richard had got fired from Walmart. So she was saying he just lost his job, and they're trying to find like different money revenues to like help them pay the rent. And she was saying like, this is why I went out to go to the donating place. Like, I've never been to a plasma place at the time. And they was telling me that, at least if I could help out with something. So I went to the donating place, but they wouldn't allow me to donate plasma because I was wheezing at the time. So when I came back, I had to break the news to them, like, hey, I couldn't help with anything, but if I come up with something, I'll make sure that I help. That's just my heart. I'm gonna always pay for wherever I'm staying, whatever. So me and her, I had ended up getting my food stamps, and they got a We Buy Refry out here about the chicken. We go get chicken and stuff like that. So I was like, Chevy, hey, you want to get out today? It's sunny. We can go get some chicken. We could probably talk about some. We could probably talk about some extra things that we could do to try to get some money to help you guys. So I went to the place, came back, but me and Shevhaun so early that morning, I had went to go to the donated place. In the evening, me and Shevhaun went to go get chicken. And that's what she was telling me about the child's mom. how he was coming back. I mean, she was coming back out here, and she said she should be on her way from wherever she was coming from. And like I said, I didn't know where she was coming from or anything, but I knew that she was on her way out here. And she was telling me how they was getting back together, like they wanted their family back.
Janiyah's mother was coming out there then? She was on the way out there?
Yeah, like she was saying that she should be on her way, like coming from wherever she was coming from.
And when exactly was this? Do you know?
I know that she showed me the text messages. That's all I can say. She showed me the text messages, but it was recent though. Like they was just talking the day before. Her and Richard, the mother to whoever the girl is. So
So
they both were.
Shevhaun had discovered these text messages between Richard and Janiyah's mother, yeah?
Yeah, because like sometimes he would take the phone, sometimes she, like sometimes they would switch off with the phones. I remember like a day before my birthday, that's when I discovered that she was trying to fight for a little boy. She was telling me that she's trying to get the little boy out here. And she was like, if don't nobody want to take care of him, he can come down here, you know. And I was like, well, who is the little boy? And that's when she kind of like went into details, but she never said anything about it being her child per se. But I thought that was weird. If you guys are already struggling right now, why would you want another child to come out? You know? But I didn't think of it as, hey, that might be her child. I just thought of it like, well, who is the little boy? Like who is this special boy that you're trying to get down here?
Let me see if I can put some pieces together possibly. This is when Janiyah's mother's coming out, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then there's talk of another little boy coming as well.
Yes.
And he could stay with basically Richard and Shevhaun if he needs to. And you think that this might be because Shevhaun was supposedly pregnant, or she was pregnant, actually. She was pregnant.
Yeah.
We know that, yeah? You saw Shevhaun pregnant.
Yes.
And then we have never seen a baby from Shevhaun, and we don't know where that kid went. And you're under the impression that this boy they were talking about might have been that child. Is it possible that because I know that Janiyah's brother, I guess her half brother, would be Dion, I think his name is, and his father would be Bruce or Shug, which would be Janiyah's mother's other baby daddy. Could it possibly have been Dion?
Yes. Yes, it was a lot of drama going on out there. When everything happened, I didn't really hear from Richard. I didn't hear from none of the family. I didn't hear from nobody. Like, he didn't even call me to let me know. Like, if you felt like my friend did something to your child, then why didn't you call my phone and let me know what was going on? Because I was just there. That's what was weird about it.
And when you say you were just there, you were there. I think what the Saturday before you had watched Janiyah.
Yeah, when I watched Janiyah.
Is that the same night or weekend that you discovered Janiyah acting inappropriate with your child?
No, that been happened. Like it was kind of like I said, he tried to make it seem like, oh, she just got disciplined around that time. No, it been happened when we first moved over there. Like they corrected it, and that was it. Like she never tried that again. So that was just that one time that she did what she did. And then for the rest of the months, we didn't have no problems at it.
We can already kind of expose a lie out of Richard there immediately. And if we notice that Shevhaun actually, in her interviews, when the police brought that up to her, she didn't seem to understand what Richard might have been referring to. So it seems to me like Richard may have been trying to use that old incident as a way to justify the bruises that were on Janiyah's bottom. Well, tell me this, because Richard also mentioned that Janiyah wakes up in a cold sweat, like deep sweat. Did you notice anything like that with Janiyah, that she had trouble sleeping, or?
She did have problems with sleeping, but he was the one that woke up in cold sweats. The bed was so soaked every day that he woke up. He was the one with the cold sweats. And I told her, I was like, why do he sweat like that?
Do you think Janiyah didn't, or do you think it's possible they both did?
It could have been genetic. It could have been genetic.
Well, it also could have been, some kind of shared trauma that they both experienced. I mean, if there's sexual assault, and let's say the possibility Richard was sexually assaulted as a kid, and he's passed on that trauma to another child. I mean, they both could be experiencing the same symptoms. Is that a possibility?
Yes, it is. It's definitely a possibility in that area. And like I said, his family is incest. So that's when she starts breaking it down to me about everything.
What have you heard in regard to Richard and his family being incestuous, or any possibility that he has been sexually interfered with at some stage, or anything like that?
I never heard anything about Richard being touched or anything like that, but I do know that his mother has sex with the grandfather, or the grandfather raped the mom, and she ended up having a baby. But they're still cool though. Like they're still all together as a family. They're still all whole.
That baby that you're referring to, is that Richard?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The baby is Richard. So Richard was an incest baby.
Are there other indications of incest within that family?
Like I said, remember I told you that she was kind of quiet about a lot of stuff, that Shevhaun was very quiet about certain stuff, but she did explain to me that the little sister, and she's light skinned, they put makeup on her, they put all types of stuff, and I thought that was weird because she's young, They put makeup on her and they dress her up like a grown girl, and she thought that was weird because the little brother, was trying to go in a room with the sister and do weird stuff with her, and that's where they fell out, and she got into a fight with the mom because she was trying to protect the sister, and they didn't like the fact that she was exposing what was happening. So that's where the altercation came in with her and the mom and the family, because she started witnessing like, hey, well, I come from molestation. Chevy was molested when she was younger. So I understood that why she would want to protect another child, which is the little sister of Richard. So that's where they ended up. I'm not sure if they kicked them out or what, but they ended up in the weekly, which is the Seagulls, the Sweets. So from there, she just was telling me that it was just strange stuff that was happening around. She really didn't go into grave details about it, but she just felt weird about their family. And I was like, well, now this took a dark turn on my perspective on Richard personally. So I'm like, okay, well, if you know all this, friend, you know, like at this point, it's just weird. Like it becomes weird. But he never like denied it. He never like contest to it. He just used to sit there and just let us talk. Fast forward the day that I left. I was at Shevhaun and Richard's house, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and it was cold, and everybody was sick in the house, in the apartment. Everybody, we all was sick. So I asked, like, hey, can you turn down the air conditioner? And I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of being like irritable, like, hey, I'm gonna turn, like, I don't know what the hell y'all talking about. I'm finna turn this air up. So I turned the air up. She came back out and turned it off. And then I was like, well, it's cold in here. Everybody's sick. Everybody's running nose. Like you guys need to tell them to come fix the AC and fix the filter and da 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 da. And she was like, well, don't turn it off and da 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 da. And then we ended up getting into it like really bad, like some sister shit. Like Richard was in the back, but he was like saying something, but I couldn't really hear him because me and her was going back and forth. She's like, well, you could get the fuck out. And I was like, damn, you gonna put me out over some air conditioning? Like, I ain't gonna lie, I didn't have to touch the air conditioner. But I was just at the time, I was like, bro, you're not finna just do me like that, knowing that we staying here, And it almost got physical between me and her. That whole situation almost got physical. So I went to sit outside. I brought my kids outside on the stairs, and like probably like 10 minutes go by. I'm on the phone with my mom chatting up, telling her about everything that's going on. Like, can you come get us? This bitch is weird. I'm ready to go. And so she comes out like, y'all could come in. Like, don't be weird, you know? Like, at least if you don't want to come in, you could bring my nieces in. And I was like, nah, fuck you. Like in that energy. And from there, that's when I left. My mom came and picked us up. But Richard was always keeping Janiyah close. Like he wouldn't let her do anything by herself. And I was like, we used to be like, that was weird. Like even when I had a birthday party for my baby, like all the kids was out running and playing, and he kept Janiyah right there by him. Like we was all smoking and stuff. We was drinking, like cussing, doing whatever. And we was like, well, why don't she go out there and play with the kids? Like at this time, that's when Richard just started acting weird. Like I don't know how to explain it. I just felt like a weird vibe from him. Like he just started being weird. When I was outside and she was like, oh, don't be acting weird and you and the girls can come in the house, Shevhaun, she said, Richard want us to fight. Basically, he was taunting her while she was in the house by herself, while I was outside. And he was like telling her, like, you fight everybody else. Why you don't fight her? And he was referring to his mom and the family and stuff like that. Like, basically, why we not fighting? And she was like, no, I'm not going to fight my friend, like, about no air conditioner. That's stupid. So when she told me that, I'm like, word? He said that? And from there, that's when I stopped liking him. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be around him. I told my mom to come get me. We left. Um, a couple of days go by, probably like a week go by. I ran into Richard on the bus. Mind you, I haven't talked to Shevhaun. I was just pissed off. I was angry at her. I was angry at him because, like, dude, I thought she was a respectable dude. Like, why would you want me and my friend to fight? Like, it was just weird to me. That's when I moved back to my mom's house. I felt like she kind of chose him over me in that situation. But I mean, what else was she supposed to do? She was already deep in with him. A week go by. I run into I run into to Richard on the Flamingo bus, and he tells me that Shevhaun needs a friend to be there for her. You egged me and my friend on the fight, and now you want us to get cool again? Like, that was just weird to me. He was like, here, call the number. Whenever you get home, I know you mad at her, but whenever you get home, call her so y'all can make up. Like, you guys are sisters. And so I was like, okay, whatever. So I met up with Chevy. I told her, I was like, I'm mad at you still. I still come see you. So that's when I met up with her at the bus stop. I told her, I was like, I'm not going in his house. I was like, he say that he wanted us to fight? I'm like, I'm not going to his house. He's weird. Like, that was weird to me. I thought he was cool with me. Like, why would he do that? I ended up at the bus stop with her. And that's when I realized something. Friend, you look dark. Like, you look like shit. Like, basically, like, I've never seen my friend like that. She always keep herself up. You know, Even if her appearance wasn't up, her hair was up. Like, she was always looking decent, you know? So I'm like, are you okay? Like, is everything all right? Because he was saying that I need to be here for you. Like, what's going on? And she was telling me that they had to get out of their apartment soon, that they didn't have money and stuff like that. And that's when she proceeds to ask me, can I make money with her? Uh, go out and make money with her and stuff like that. And then we just sit there and did our catching up. And then that's when she asked me, can I watch Janiyah? She was like, can you watch Janiyah for me? Because we need to get out. I barely get to get out. Me and Richard's gonna go out with the best friend. Now that's the best friend that was in Popeyes with Richard. And she told me that um they're they're taking them out on like a date or something, like they was doing like a double date together. So I said, I don't mind. You know, they watch my kids so many times. I didn't mind. So that's when I was like, don't trip. Okay, Friday, I think I told them, that's why I keep saying Friday. That Friday, I told them I would spend the night and then, or, or something. No, I told them that I would get on the bus early that day and come over and spend time with them until they leave. So I came over. I was like, fuck it, I'll just come in because I gotta watch Janiyah anyways, you know? So I came over with my kids and then I watched Janiyah when because they left that later on that night. They went out, came back. I asked them, can they watch the kids for that morning? And then they told me that they had to go watch their other friends' kids. They was going to work for money. So that was their going to be their occupation for a moment, watching their kids for them, and they was going to get paid. So I was like, good, y'all figured something out. I was happy for them because I was like, you know, that's what's up. Like, I know that y'all was stressing out about it. I told her I was going to call her when I get home. When I got home, I called her on the phone. We was talking on the phone, and I'm like, I'm on my way to my little friend house, and yada yada yada. I just made it, and that's when she tells me that Janiyah just got in trouble for making other kids do inappropriate things. And then after that, she said, I will call you right back. I heard a little commotion in the back, and then that was the last time I talked to her. The phone disconnected. That was the last time. And then the next time I saw her, what was she was on the news saying the death of a 6-year-old baby.
You noticed some weird things about Richard as well. So now a lot of people have noticed that in the Telcris video, he has this weird look. He seems to have this weird stare. This, you know, I think when you and I spoke yesterday, I mentioned that it almost looked like he was talking to someone in the sky or something. He has this. Is that something typical of Richard, or
He just always looked it like bugged out. Like his eyes was I, I don't even know how to explain the eyes. Like his eyes always look weird to me. Like the way I just thought maybe that's just how he looks. But I always just got a weird vibe from him because of his eyes. Like his eyes always gave it away. Like I didn't know if he was angry. I didn't know if he was sad. I didn't know if it was just a blank expression. He always had this like blank expression on him. Another thing that I want to talk about too as well, because I forgive me, I don't want to leave nothing out. One time I walked in the house, and the way the apartment, as you can see on the video of how the apartment is, there's this it's a view that you could see inside the room, but you would actually have to like kind of walk past, like it'd be tall enough to see, or stand on the couch if you're short like a kid to see inside their room. And basically, when I walked in one time, I saw him and Shevhaun having having sex. And he was looking at me while he was like getting, like you could tell he either he just climaxed or something, but it was like he got off to my face. It was like weird because I see the kids, they're sitting on the couch. It's all three kids sitting on the couch. They're real quiet. They playing with their dolls. And then I walk past and I like glance to the right of me, and I see Chevy's face to the side. Like I can't see her face, but I can see his face. And the way they were sitting, it was like she was on top of him like that. And her face was to the left. So you can't see her face, like I said, but you can see him. And he's just looking at me. He didn't budge and say, hey, your girl saw us. Richard didn't say anything. He just kept going. So then I proceed to walk to the kitchen to go wash my hands. When Shevhaun walked out of the room, I tell her, like, girl, you know, I seen y'all. And this is when I was staying with them. Like I said, I don't want to forgive me. I don't want to leave anything out. It's so many tips and pointers that I'm running through trying to get through that. You know, if he knew that he saw, why didn't he stop? That was like, it was like he got off to my face. So she was like, what? You saw us? I was like, yeah, girl. I walked past. I saw you. I was like, all the kids needed to do was hop on the damn couch to see y'all doing y'all thing. Like, the door was unlocked because they knew that I was coming right back. I had left out and I told them I'll be right back. So sometimes they would leave the door open for me, but this was in the daytime. This was in the daytime. That's what was odd to me. Maybe they didn't hear me, but he saw me. That's all I can say. He saw me. And instead of him budging like a regular person's, it was nothing. Like, he just looked at me with this look. Like, his eyes is like this, like owls. Like how owl that's how Janiyah's eyes were. Like, super big. Like, you can see it in her pictures. As she's older, like, her eyes was super big. So that kind of creeped me out. I'm not gonna lie. I was like very creeped out by that. But yeah, and then the doors unlocked for me. And then I'm like, okay, like, but when she came out, I was like, girl, just to let you know, 411, FYI, I seen y'all. And from there, she was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. Like, she was even apologetic about it. Like, my bad, girl. I didn't even know, like, that you was able to see, or I didn't even know you came back. And I was like, yeah, he saw me.
You know, your mom also told me that I guess during one of your kids' birthday parties that Richard had, you know, some friends over and stuff, and he was in the room while all the kids were playing in that front room for the birthday party, like for your kid's birthday party. She said it was very odd because they were all in there smoking in the room, and he just kept Janiyah in there in the room with them. He like wouldn't let her come out to the birthday party.
Yeah, he wouldn't. It was like he didn't want her to talk because Janiyah was very open. Like, you see how on that video as a young child, you could tell she been like that. Like, very open with outwardly about how she felt with her expressions. So I felt like he kept her in the room because he didn't want her to talk about something to somebody else. And we thought that was so strange because every other kid was running back and forth. We had a pool party going on. We had food going on. We had, like, it was nice. Like, we did a whole that's how Chevy ended up meeting a couple with the kids that they went to go watch, her and Richard. So, because I'm very, like, uh community friendly. Like, when I go places, I always end up with friends everywhere because I could kind of fit in everywhere I go, you know. And Chevy, they before I came, they barely stepped outside unless Richard went to go take care of business. It was like she was like stuck in one position. Like, every day. It was the same routine every day. Their routine was the same thing every day until I came and I kind of turned it upside down. But I'm glad that I did come because I kind of I kind of brought it out to her for her to um think about what, you know, what type of person she dealing with. Every time I be around people, I'm always the reason why they end up finding out about their lovers and how they are. Like, I always end up, I don't know what it is. I have a gift. Like, I seen right through him. Like, you know, like, I seen that he wasn't a good person. Like, in the beginning, it was hard to tell because he didn't show any signs. But this particular time that I actually moved in, it was like God wanted me to be there. And the time that I got out of there, it was just enough time for my children not to be in that situation. But I felt bad because another soul was lost, and which is Janiyah. That time when I came back and she was telling me all the time that I saw her at the bus stop, and then when I came back to watch Janiyah, I think Richard had left for like an hour or so. He went to go pick up weed from the uncle. I'm not gonna forget about the uncle. That's why I said I'm trying to pull it all out, everything that I stored in the back of my head. The uncle, he was a big black guy that Shevhaun used to always say he always looking at her and making passes at her. And she felt very uncomfortable. But they used to buy weed from the uncle. So the uncle used to come over all the time. Sometimes, like he would, like either they would walk down there to him because he was in another suite up the street from them. So it was like probably like 5 minutes away. He was like 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes away. Because Boulder Highway is a very long street, but he was up the street and he would always get his bud from him. So she was telling me how she felt very uncomfortable. She felt very uncomfortable with the uncle around because the uncle used to always like look at her weird and make passes, like try to bump past her. And like I said, Shevhaun had a nice butt. So she always felt uncomfortable when people looked at her and stuff like that. She just wasn't that type of people like, hey, look at me, I got a butt. She always used to be like, no, I don't like that when people do stuff like that because I'm more than a big butt. You know what I mean? Like I'm so much more than that. And I respected her for that, you know? So the uncle, I was like, damn, did like all this information that I'm processing, and it's making me not like Richard more and more. It's making me not like in my personal opinion, it's making me not like him. After Janiyah passed, me and my mother went to 7-Eleven and I met this guy named New Orleans when I stayed over there in Shevhaun's apartments, in Richard's apartments. And he told me some shocking news because that day they were supposed to leave that apartment and move out before that even happened. That was their last day being there. And he told me that he saw the uncle going in. Coming to find out, the uncle came in. So the day that she got released, the uncle came in. The day that she came from interrogation, the uncle came in. He was there when Richard was there. He went in and never came out because New Orleans used to pop his chair outside and sit outside every day. So he would see who was coming in and out because he was right above them, just so happened. So once I found out that information, I'm like, if she went back to the home, it had to have been another person there. And that guy, what is a better way to have a guy that she's terrified of to come and beat her up and scare her? He said that he saw him go in and he didn't come out.
There was a black eye that previous weekend too, that she alleged was from.
We seen her with a black eye. That's the crazy part. We seen Janiyah with a black eye because I went to go get a loan. My mom had took me to go get a loan. Remember I told you I had to go somewhere that early that morning. And
this is the weekend that you watched her. Basically, it would have been that weekend.
Yeah. So I had went to this little place like a loan company to go get a loan, but Janiyah asked, "Can she ride with us?" And Chevy had asked, and when I asked her, we asked her like, "Chevy, what happened to her eye?" And she told me that her Nana or something. But we thought that was odd. We like, nah, Nana ain't do that. She's way too small to black her eye. I was like, at that point, I said, Mama, see, I told you he weird. Because why the hell would he just blame Nine Eye and said that Nine Eye blacked her eye. She been had a black eye before that other black eye. I didn't know nothing about the second black eye, but she been had one black eye that we saw because she asked us, "Can?" Because my mom go to church, so she was like, Janiyah needs to be in church. Like she was like, she need God, like she need help, and it's crazy because she kept saying something about we need help, she need help, like Morris code. And I didn't realize it until today, like until a couple of years. Like I didn't realize that my friend was actually screaming out for help. Yes, she did tell me what she told me about her might end up killing her and stuff like that. And yes, I did make an anonymous tip on her about something happened to her. But the only thing I could say is I knew something wasn't right about that whole situation, and I knew that that baby was in danger before danger even came to her. I felt it.
I know you told me as well that it's bullshit. You were more than willing to speak out. You were more than willing to testify. There was no issue with finding you. Your mother said the same thing. You guys were even, pushing justice for Janiyah on social media and everything. So it wasn't as if, according to you guys, it wasn't as if you weren't unfindable.
Yeah, like they even subpoenaed me. Like I went to California and everything, and like I even tried to reach out to the family.
So once Shevhaun was inside, when she was charged with the murder, you kept in contact for a little while, correct?
Yeah, I did.
And
Yeah.
what happened? Why did you stop?
Because my mother saw Richard at the gas station and she told me about it. And she said that Richard had a new girlfriend. Remember, I told you that he showed up to her court hearing with a girl?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the time when he was following us in the courtroom. He was following her public defender.
Do you want to maybe elaborate on that a little bit? I'm not sure we've kind of
Okay,
talked about
so
that
the
here.
public defender was explaining to us about the case because, as far as they know, that I'm her sister in the court. So
So this is while you were so first of all, you if for them to not be able to have found you, you were there.
yeah,
So they clearly they could find you if you were there in court with your
yeah,
mom.
that's when we saw, because we was gonna follow up the case. We was gonna go all through in and throughout with the whole case. But unfortunately, when we invited her mother to come down, thinking that we can find some extra support, the mom turned
This is
on us.
Shevhaun's mom.
Yeah, Shevhaun.
Now
Mom turned.
she's never really been involved in Shevhaun's life, has she?
Yeah, and I knew that she didn't really have anybody, but we young, so when we say we don't have nobody, it's not really that we don't have nobody. Sometimes we just being stubborn, we don't want to talk to them or something. So I was like, well, maybe your mom should come down and kind of shed some light a little bit more on Chevy, or at least help the situation. But instead, the mom was just out for the money. She got a GoFundMe and stuff. But back to what I was saying about Richard following the public defender. So me and my mom was talking to the public defender. They didn't even know who he was. They was like, I'm sorry, who is this? Instead of him walking up like, hey, don't talk to them, talk to me. He was just sitting there with a blank stare, like just looking. Like, and she's like, give me a second. Hey, don't talk. Just walk over here. And we all walked outside. And she was like, who is that? And my kids was terrified to see him. And they didn't even know what happened. They was scared to see him. They was like, Mommy, he's here. And we didn't even know what they were talking about. And I was like, see, the kids is even scared of him. That's weird. And he was following us, trying to find out what we were saying. And she told him, like, can you get away, because like basically this is a personal conversation. You can't be in on this conversation. And even the public defender was even creeped out. Like, how do they not know How do they not know about him? He was sitting in the back of the courtroom and he was holding the girl's hand. But when he was following us, it was like he sent the girls to go somewhere else, and then he was following us. Like, and he even tried to follow us. Like, we had to have them walk us to the car and everything because he was being like really weird. But he wouldn't say anything though. That's the crazy part, Mr. Black. He didn't say anything. He didn't say anything. He didn't say, "Hey, I'm here for my daughter. Do you guys have any information?" He didn't even come up and greet me. He didn't even say hi. Like, how are you feeling about the situation? He didn't say anything. And I thought that was strange. You could have came to me and been like, "Hey, how you feeling?" He was just sitting there with a blank stare with his eyes like big as an owl. Like he just did a load of drugs or something.
You kept in contact with Shevhaun for a little bit, yeah. What happened? Did you just get to a point where it just wasn't going anywhere, and
Yeah,
you were
my mom saw Richard again, like I said, with a girl, and he was in a whole nother relationship. And my mom had got in contact with Chevy. She went to go visit Chevy because this was when she was in the county. And she was like, she kept telling me like, Deja, you need to go make a visit with your friend, you know? That whole situation had me so confused on who did it or not, like, or like she was wrong for being there and not saying nothing. Like, I was just mad all around. My mom was like, go visit her, or I would go visit her. She visited her, she gave her my number, she called me. We tried to tell Chevy on three-way because we kind of like three-way the call. We try to tell her that he have a new girlfriend. We try to tell her that he tried to paint her out to be a monster and everything. She said that he was putting money on her books. She said he was supporting her, he was writing her, everything.
no way.
Yep. And I said, wait, if he feel like you killed his baby, then why the hell is he supporting the murderer?
And he absolutely did. I have transcripts from one of the witnesses that was the neighbor, Miss Baby, I think her name was. She's the one that gave them the cat.
Mm-hmm.
And she said the day that Shevhaun was arrested and Richard came home, she spoke to Richard, and Richard, he claimed that Shevhaun did it.
Yeah, but if you feel like she's a murderer and she did it, why would you be helping her? And she's a suspect. She's the main suspect in the case. So I was like, Chevy, I mean, come on now, dude. I said, this dude is painting you out to be a monster. And she was like so in denial. That's how loyal, like she feel like loyalty. She never really had love. So that was like one of the loves that she had. And she didn't want to believe that he was painting her out to be a murderer. She was like, are you serious? Like, I'm telling her, I'm like, girl, they saying you ain't never been around no kids. Like, they saying all types of stuff about you. She was in denial. Like, what? Like, you lying. I was like, look, Chevy, I talked to her like one good time. And I was like, all right, if you're going to continue on talking to him, I can't. I can't. And after that, that was the last time I talked to her. I think she wrote me a letter, but I didn't read the letter. It was at my auntie's house. I was like, no, I'm not going to be talking to you. Girl, you need to realize this is your life.
It's not, and this is the thing, is it's not just her life. This is a little girl's life.
No, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying if you don't wake up and realize that this is a serious thing, that this is something that so unbearable. That baby didn't deserve that. And when I think about that and how that baby, like if I would have stayed, she probably would still be here.
Or you might be in there.
That too. But see, that's the thing. I love kids. I would have died trying. So on that part, that's where I can defend her at. I could not defend her on that part about what was the last moments.
That's the problem. And look, she's you got to think about it like this. You might not be great with time, and I might not be great with time. But let me tell you something. You're going to know whether or not something you gave someone a bath, before
Yeah.
dinner, after dinner, or in the morning, especially when it was so early in the morning.
And
So
she said that she gave her a bath the night before.
mm,
Why would you be giving her a bath at night and in the morning?
yeah. So there was like that's something that I wondered if many people would catch was that she kind of says that it was both. At one point, she kind of
Yeah.
says it was both. you
Mm-hmm.
know. But I didn't sort of comment much about that specific detail in the video because I thought, what does it matter to reconstruct the previous timeline in comparison to the next? Because it's just so out of whack. It's basically a totally different timeline. It's a different day completely.
Well, yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't believe there was any fight outside with kids.
No, it wasn't no damn fight because she been had a black eye. She been had a black eye, and that wasn't coming from her getting into no fight. Janiyah wasn't even able to go outside. It was badass kids over there. Now that's the part where I was like, okay, friend. Now you just maybe she was letting her go outside around that time because I wasn't there. You know what I mean? So
Based on what you've said as well, and what we know, it doesn't seem like Richard would have ever let Janiyah just go out on her own.
no, they would take her to the pool because Chevy liked to swim. She'd take her to the pool, and there was a bunch of kids over there. But as far as her being out there by herself, nah. It's like, okay, now you just hiding shit. Now you're trying to protect the situation. My mom was even there when he said what he said, because my mom was taking me to go take care. And he came up to me, he said, I'm so sorry for your loss. I wonder how you feeling. Because he thought it was my child that was deceased. Because he met my children before. New Orleans. The one that my witness that said that he saw a big guy go in the room and never come out. I mean,
Mm,
he said he did. I said, did you see him leave out? He said, no, he was in there. So around
yeah.
that time before the police came, that was enough time for them to roughen her up. Maybe Kenny came to help like move some stuff out because that day they were supposed to leave. But he said that when he went in, he didn't come out. Because once he came back to the house, why would Mr. Kenny be coming back to be in the room with Chevy? And Richard already know that she's scared of him.
Well, listen. Here's a big hole, a big problem. Somebody, either Richard or Shevhaun, murdered that little girl. It was obvious. I don't understand how either one of them would go back to the same apartment. First of all, I don't understand why the apartment wasn't just cordoned off as a crime scene immediately. Um, and just that was it. They shouldn't have been
Right.
allowed back there. Why were they allowed to sleep there that night? That it should have been an active crime scene. They were still waiting for tests to determine. They had suspicions about Janiyah's death, so they were still waiting on tests. I don't know why it wasn't immediately cordoned off as a crime scene, but secondly, one of them killed that little girl. It was pretty obvious. Something just happened. I don't know how you could sleep next to somebody. Either one of you's innocent and one of you's guilty. So who is it? The innocent one's not going to want to be beside the guilty one unless they're forced to be. So yeah, I find it odd that if Richard really if Shevhaun did this and Richard just took her back in and slept next to her that night, and that doesn't make any sense. Just like it doesn't make any sense that he would be putting money on her books if she's convicted of killing his daughter. So much doesn't make sense. But I think a lot of this is going to help start getting to dive deeper. I also know that Richard's mom has tried to make contact, so we're going to see. We're going to see what is going to come out. But listen, is there anything else that you would like to add? I'm sure if people have questions, they can send them to me. I can get them to you, and you could answer them by proxy, I guess.
Yeah. The only thing I can say is just whatever happens in the dark shall come to the light. And I pray that everything that needs to be revealed about this baby, it needs to come out. And whoever, like I told them at the court, And I'm gonna tell you here today, Mr. Black, I don't care if she did it, he did it. Both of their ass need to get what they deserve, because if she didn't say nothing, knowing what she knows, nobody said nothing. I feel like everybody failed her. Like at the end of the day, this baby was crying out for help since day one. She been knowing that she was in danger. And I love her just as well as them. I didn't really know her that long, but I just want to get justice for her because she deserves the truth to come out. So, I mean, there's a whole rabbit hole behind the family and how they know what they know, but I can't really say anything. I can only say what I think. I can't say exactly what I know about them. I don't know anything that's factual about his family. But I did know that there was some weird stuff going on, and Chevy did tell me some information about, about incest and them being incest towards each other. So if she's innocent, I'm hoping that the evidence could come out about her. But until further notice, I'm still kind of speechless. Like, it was kind of hard today, even having to get get any information out to you about the situation, because I kind of put it to rest a long time ago. Um, because I'm like, it's a mystery. Like, it's a missing piece there. So I'm just hoping that we could just bring it back up, and hopefully they'll reopen the case and we can get the new details in what needs to be up and running, so this baby could get the proper justice so she can actually lay to rest. And like the grandma said, they're not gonna sleep good until the real spill come out. But I'm not really sure about the grandmother, but the rest of them, they all felt her. They felt them. They felt her bad. They all felt her on that aspect, knowing what they know about that baby being touched. And she had no business being with Richard.
I will say, and this is something I stand on until I have, information to prove otherwise. I know there's a lot of discrepancies out there at the minute about Tirzah in the video of Janiyah saying that she's being touched, and I just still think that could go either way. Look, there's no denying if if Tirzah heard what Janiyah said clearly, and was aware that there were allegations towards Richard, and knew that that's where Janiyah was heading, and knew that that could be dangerous, and didn't do anything, then yes, she failed her in that aspect for sure. But I don't think that that's what happened. When you look back at that clip, the first thing that Janiyah actually says is, "And my daddy wouldn't touch me." That's the first thing she says. And then the next thing she says, it almost sounds like she says, "My daddy cusses me" or something. So I totally can understand where that could be misheard or not heard at all. Clearly, I could understand that. With our context now, with what we know, what we have now, with what's happened to Janiyah, it's a lot easier to look at that and just get major foreshadowing shivers down our spine. Totally, I agree. Is there anything at all that you would like me to relay to Shevhaun, from you?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Tell her that I love her very much, and she do have my support until further notice. And that's the only thing I could say for her. And I would love for her, if you can give her my number, so at least I can, kind of talk to her and stuff, and keep her head on the swivel. At least tell her that you do have people that's actually out here.
Okay. I'll actually see what I can do about putting your number down and putting money on it, so that if she decides she wants to call you, she can do that, you know? Is that okay with
Yes.
you?
Yes, that's fine.
Well, look, hopefully all of this will get us closer to the truth. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what we
because
need.
maybe I can get her to tell me details about something. Maybe she could say, "Well, hey, I didn't want to talk to such and such about it, but now that I have somebody I can trust.
I mean, I think we all know that she's not telling the truth. I mean, that's
Oh, I
that's
know. I know for sure.
100%. We need the truth, you know. It's important. I mean, if this
Her
was
grandma deserves the truth.
the truth deserves to be brought to light, as you said previously. Deishne, it's a pleasure to talk to you. I thank you for taking the time to speak with me. If anyone's got questions, I will get them to you, and then you can, if there's anything, you know, a question that stands out that maybe you could answer, I'll get it to you, and you can get the answer back to me, and I can answer on your behalf if that's what you'd like to do. And you know, listen, there's going to be criticism directed at anybody who speaks out, and that's just how things are.
I understand, and I was gonna say too. I understand that it's gonna come with different. Well, if you know this, if you knew this, if you knew that, I understand. That's fine, and I'm ready for it at the end of the day because these are questions that I was asking myself for years, and also I want to give my condolences to her grandmother and whoever cared for her. And I'm sorry that that happened to her. You know, like, man, I just wish that things were different.
I wish I didn't ever have to make that video, you know. But we have, and I think that's a step in the right direction. I really, really do. I think that we're on track. We are getting somewhere. We already have so much more information brought to light that we didn't know before. If we can get Shevhaun to tell the truth, that would be fantastic. So again, like I said, for me, it's moving forward. Obviously observing the past, but moving forward and trying to get justice for this little girl, this 5-year-old girl, this beautiful little girl who was intelligent, who just this world didn't deserve her. And I think we all see that, you know. So could have been your kid, could have been my kid. I've got a 3-year-old. I've also got an 18-year-old, 2 sons. You've got kids. Yeah, could have been any one of our kids, and now we're all on the same side fighting together. May have different opinions about different parts of this, but I think we're fighting together, and we all seem to think the same. Most of us know or believe that Richard is the main culprit here. Deishne, thank you very much for speaking with me.
No problem, Mr. Black. Thank you so much for covering this story.